Once upon a time, in the heart of the bustling city, there stood an old apartment building. Its faded brick facade bore witness to decades of life, and at its entrance, a doorman named Mr. Higgins dutifully guarded the threshold. Mr. Higgins was a man of few words and even fewer smiles. His face, etched with wrinkles, seemed permanently set in a scowl. His uniform, a threadbare coat and a cap that had seen better days, matched his demeanor perfectly. Residents often wondered why he hadn't retired yet, but no one dared to ask. The grumpy doorman was as much a fixture of the building as the creaky elevator or the flickering hallway lights. Every morning, rain or shine, Mr. Higgins stood by the glass door, nodding curtly to the tenants as they hurried off to work. He rarely engaged in conversation, except for the occasional gruff "good morning" or "evening." Children who dared to play near the entrance quickly learned to avoid his stern gaze. But behind that gruff exterior lay a secret. Mr. Higgins had once been a concert pianist, a fact known only to the building's oldest resident, Mrs. Thompson. She had moved in when the building was new, and her memory was a treasure trove of stories. She remembered the days when Mr. Higgins's fingers danced across ivory keys, filling the air with melodies that moved hearts. One chilly evening, Mrs. Thompson invited him to her cozy apartment for tea. The doorman hesitated, then accepted. As they sat by the window, sipping chamomile, she asked, "Why did you stop playing, Mr. Higgins?" His eyes softened, and for the first time he spoke freely. "Life happened," he said. "Loss, disappointment, bills to pay. The piano became a luxury I couldn't afford." Mrs. Thompson leaned closer. "But music is a balm for the soul. Perhaps it's time to dust off those old keys." And so, late at night, when the building slept, Mr. Higgins tiptoed to the basement. There, hidden beneath a tarp, lay the grand piano, the same one he had played in concert halls across Europe. Its wood was worn, but its spirit remained intact. He sat down, fingers trembling, and began to play. The notes flowed like memories, joy, sorrow, love, all intertwined. The grumpy doorman transformed into the maestro once more, lost in the magic of music. Word spread through the building. Tenants gathered outside the basement door, listening in awe. They discovered a side of Mr. Higgins they had never imagined, a man who could evoke tears with a Chopin nocturne or laughter with a ragtime tune. From then on, the glass door no longer felt like a barrier. Mr. Higgins greeted everyone with a nod and a hint of a smile. Children no longer feared him. They asked about his piano instead. And every evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, the building came alive with music, the grumpy doorman's gift to those who passed through. And so the old apartment building became more than just a place to live. It became a haven of melodies, where the grumpy doorman reminded everyone that beauty could be found even in the most unexpected corners of life. And as for Mr. Higgins, well, he still scowled when someone forgot their key or tracked mud across the marble floor. But now, hidden beneath that gruff exterior, there was a twinkle in his eye, a secret shared only with the moon and the stars. And so, the legend of the grumpy doorman and his midnight serenades echoed through the halls, a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful stories are the ones we least expect.